right, thank you so much. The program still this morning on ITV on independent television. Now, if you saw the headlines yesterday, even this morning, a big headline that we read talking about the inflation that has been on the rise. Now, the last time the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics had to do a kind of an explanation into the inflation rate in the country, they found out that presently the inflation rate stands at 24.08%. And of course, as against sometime last year, we had 22.4%. Now, the inflation rate in Nigeria has steadily been on the increase. That's just the explanation to some of the news, some of the headlines that we've read about the inflation in the country. Now, how best can we really curtail the inflation as it stands now? We are so privileged to have an economist this morning, and perhaps very few people know that he is an economist, because I was just telling him backstage that he's more into political issues than economic issues. Bishop Bakalame is joining us this morning, and he wrote a book that I've read, technical solutions into economic issues in the country. Bishop, you're welcome to the program this morning on
Good morning, Evers Nohogi. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. All right, so we're also expecting Destiny Owabo, another foremost economist. He's going to come here so that he can also tell us what he feels about the latest release from the MBS. Now, Bishop, what are your impressions now about this latest MBS release about the inflation in the country?
Well, Evers Nohogi, I must tell you that it is a terrible situation we are in. The inflation rate 24.08%. It is abnormal, very abnormal. When I find out what was actually responsible for this, I discovered that the price of goods, consumable goods, and transportation fare actually responsible for the increase in this new percent. But it's quite unfortunate that we continue to read this book of lamentation because we are afraid to do the needful. The Bible says, the people perish for lack of knowledge. Now, brother, if you check very well today, the kind of inflation we're having in Nigeria today is caused by what I call cost push. It is called cost push inflation. Inflation that is responsible by the increase in the production, in the cost of production factors, rent, raw materials, and wage. These are the factors responsible. And when you have all of this, they are called cost push inflation. How can you control it? It's another thing. I've checked the Nigeria situation. It is abnormal and it's peculiar. Looking at the economic textbook, read everything, go back to my research work, I discovered that we find it difficult to even adopt the measures we have to control inflation, to control Nigeria inflation. Why? Because they are things we caused ourselves by bringing in wrong policies in the critical times. What are the wrong policies that are responsible? Check very well. It's as if we don't even know the bane of our problems. We know it. The leaders know it. And I was surprised therefore yesterday that the NSC said they want to go on strike if the government increase the price of fuel.
Yeah, but the president has reacted to that now, that there's no such thing.
Good. When I heard that, I said, well, that means they don't even understand what is happening in the country, that they don't understand the problem we are having. Emerson Nohogi, Mr. President made a mistake when he came on the day of his inauguration and thereafter. What are the mistakes that have put Nigerians in the level we are today, that Nigerians are suffering?
Yeah, but Mr. President, we keep on saying this. The issue of petroleum subsidy removal, it was more than just saying it. I mean, it's a thing of law, something that was already passed by the National Assembly. The Night Assembly passed that. So it wasn't as if Mr. President's coming to make the announcement.
Let me tell you something. In a country like this, of ours, where you have more than 200 people, what we need to do on different level of poverty and intelligence and understanding of the dynamics of the economies. There are policy statements you ought to make as number one citizen, either of a state or of a nation. And of course, that is what we are going through today. If you want to remove fuel subsidy, there are processes for everything. If you say you want to become educated, what you do, the first thing you do is that you take your child to the elementary, register him or her. From there, you begin to graduate, begin to move to primary, from primary to secondary, from secondary to tertiary. Then by the time you now graduate, you can now function and apply those knowledge acquired over the years to solve problems. But you don't just jump, oh, my child is here now, it's about 7 years, let me take it to university straight. You jump stages, then the child will suffer. That is where we are today in the country. You remove fuel subsidies. You know we don't produce this fuel within the country. We are importing the fuel. Okay? Our refineries are in comatose. We are not refining our fuel here. We go outside the country to refine and bring them in here. So that means fuel has become part of those goods we import into the country. Are you understand what I'm saying? Now, that was not even the issue. On top of that, he came and adopted what is called float exchange rate policy, moving from fixed to floating rate policy. Yeah. And if you look at it very well, that's why I told you. I was with Professor Besino Sadolo in a chat, the former vice chancellor at Brooklyn University. We were discussing. He said something to me. He said, Bishop, I said, sir, he said, the solution to our problems are written in books. But it's quite pathetic that we don't read the books. That is where our problem begin to persist. We romance our problems. They don't have solution because the solution are hidden in a book we don't read. Now, when I look at it, I was so convinced I was satisfied, and I believed, because that is the problem we're having in Nigeria here. If you look at it very well, it's quite that in the history, in the economy, look at the history of the relationship between fixed and float exchange rate policies. Look at that very well. Look at the differences. Look at the advantages and disadvantages. You discover that a country like Nigeria is called a growing economy. So a growing economy, the policy, the exchange rate policy we need to stabilize the economy is fixed exchange rate policy.
Not the floating.
Not the floating. And of course, if you want to stabilize an economy, the policy you use is the fixed exchange rate policy. That means when you have to peg it. You know why?
Yeah.
We are not producing anything. Nigeria is a consuming ground. We import everything we consume here, including the fuel, the PMS we use today in our vehicles.
When you say fixed, can we really have a fixed exchange rate policy, bearing in mind that Nigeria is not just a nation on itself? I mean, we relate with other countries. I understand what you're trying to say. Dollar comes into the country and move out the exchange rate and all that. So can we have a fixed exchange rate that way?
Let me tell you something. Don't forgive my brother. You see, what we are talking about here, we're talking about a fixed exchange rate policy. That means where you have to peg the naira
against the dollar.
Against the dollar. Yeah. So it's a way to stabilize the economy. We fix it how they can exchange. Because if we decide to float it, considering the economic activities of the country that we are not producing anything, whether you like it or not, in the foreign market, in the foreign exchange market, the dollar will always be stronger in value than the naira. You know why?
The question I'm asking, can we really have a fixed exchange rate when we know that there are other factors, that determines how much the dollar is to the naira? That's the question.
No, we can fix it. In 2016, Governor Emefiele was still the governor of Central Bank. That was during the time of Buhari. Okay? They decided to move from fixed to float in 2016. When they did it, what happened? That our value of the naira, devalued by 22%.
The way it's going down now.
22%. Yeah. So they now look at it, come on. Inflation was even high. You can see now? Inflation was even high because it will affect the cost of production. Don't forget that most of the manufacturing companies we have in Nigeria today, they depend on raw materials, imported raw materials. They bring them from abroad. So that means they need to depend on more naira to exchange the dollar. And as soon as the raw material come here, it will shoot up, it will shoot the cost of production. You understand what I'm saying right now? So then they will now supply. The final consumer have to bear the body of this increase. You see? So that is what we are facing as a nation right now. Let me tell you something. There is a direct relationship right now between the value of the dollar and the price of the PMS. They know what? There is a direct relationship. So if today,
almost now.
No, direct. Why do I say it's a direct relationship? That is today, if the dollar is 115,000 if the naira is 115 naira
to a dollar,
1,500 naira to a dollar today, the price of PMS will increase to 1,000 tomorrow.
Yeah, but that is not the situation we have.
It is the situation. Before now, when the dollar increased, you know that some officials they say 750, 700. Why? Because the dollar has increased. Now look at it very, very well. People have old stock. By the time they heard that the dollar has become more stronger, they lock their shops. You will drive, say, do you have what? Say, don't have, they have. They are watching to see the new price. When they see, they will put their shop. They will sell at that price at which the dollar has appreciated. Because we import it. You get it now? Now, what are the implications? The implication is that, one, demand will fall. Because people don't even have the money to buy. If you look at the economic textbook, they will tell you that to control inflation, you have to what? Take money away from circle, too much money from away from circle. We don't even have the money to spend. That's why we're not looking at the demand pool now. It's not even there. It's the cost push. People who are selling, they're even begging to sell. Even when they're not making more profit. Some of them want to break even. Breaking even means that you have to harmonize the cost of your production and what just to stay on that.
Just to keep on the business.
Just to keep running the business. Yeah. You're not making profit. You want to break even, so that the price you are selling and the cost of production just equate them. Okay, you produce this wristwatch 2,000 naira. You want to sell it 2,000 naira so that you can still remain in business. That's exactly what is happening today in Nigeria. That if you're not selling necessity, you'll be out of business.
Okay.
And those who have now, they can't employ. Those who are working already, if you're not selling and your GDP become very low, it will affect the workforce. That means they have to retrench. Staff will go home. So even with some staff right now, some workers are voluntarily retiring, leaving their jobs. They don't want to do it again. Why? Because they have looked at they have evaluated everything. The cost of transportation outweigh their salary. That means what they are spending to get to their place of work is even much more higher than what they are being paid. So when you look at the economic and look at the cost-benefit analysis, you advise yourself to stay at home, either to go to work.
All right, let's look at it now that way now, because people are trying to explain the situation. As it stands now, Nigeria has, leveled sanctions against Niger. We understand that some staple foods, agricultural produce do come from Niger: onion, yam, rice, and all that. As we speak now, the prices of those items, they've gone high. A basket of onion in our local markets, has increased by almost 50% since the sanction came on. Now, just trying to look at it differently, little wonder if this inflation rate now, don't you think is related to the sanction that Nigeria leveled against, Niger? Food cannot come in, nothing can go out of Nigeria to Niger, because we're talking about goods and services here. Agricultural produce, you may want to say.
You see, that's another big issue again. The 24.08% you are saying, that means it's not realistic yet. It's still going to increase. If that sanction have come,
this as at the last of July.
That was July. That's something in July.
Yeah.
So by the time NBC now maybe bring out another report after now, you score that it will shoot up. We will not have it will be more than 24%, because looking at what is happening right now. Let me tell you something. When you look at the analysis, you look at it very well. I told you just initially. I said when you look at the increase, why it moved from 22% to 24%. We look at it as what the components, the constituents of that increase is majorly on food, goods, and transportation fare. Yeah. Now, if you look at it very well, if you are selling a particular product, okay, and the cost of that product is 5 naira in the market overt, and you need to transport those goods to the market overt too, the transportation cost has increased. What do? You have to add the price of the goods. It will increase the price of what? Of the goods. That's exactly what is happening. Then those who run hospitality business, like hotels, they buy fuel, to run their generators. So if you look at it very well, most of them now, maybe those who have rate of 10,000 before, they have increased it to 50 to 20,000 naira. So if you're a businessman, you leave your comfort zone, like from Benin to Delta, and your business is not even giving you much revenue, that of which you have to lodge before you sell the following days. That means at the end of the day, you may not even be breaking even at all. You'll be spending more to run your business. So one day we just say, come on, I don't need to, let me just stay at home. What is the need of stressing myself where I cannot get anything? So that's why the poverty rate will increase in Nigeria very soon. It's even here. The one we have now is not even enough. We are going to have it to go to increase. That one is there. Then two, a lot of people will be out of job. And I tell you, the country will be in comatose. I pray it does not shut down.
Bishop Akala, a foremost economist, trying to explain the inflation rate at the recent release by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, whereby the inflation rate stays at 24.8%. Very alarming, you may want to say. And of course, one of the highest now, so far as I can remember. Now, Bishop, you've been able to say that the inflation we're talking about now is the cost push inflation, not the demand push inflation, and which is hinged on the fact that prices of goods and services have gone up because of the cost of providing them, the cost of transportation and all that. Now, it all narrows down to the fuel subsidy removal. There's no doubt about that. Let's begin to look at alternatives now, because whether Nigerians like it or not now, the federal government has told us that the fuel subsidy has come to stay. No Nigerian government is going to give a fuel subsidy to Nigerians anymore. So how do we begin to think of getting out of this quagmire as it stands now?
Now, even Mr. President's a dilemma. He's not, in fact, he doesn't even know what to do. It's as if he has done something. I can tell you.
You cannot say the president doesn't know.
No, I'm coming. I'm coming now. I'm coming. If you look at it very well, he's coming up with so many measures,
policies and ideas now.
So many measures to take Nigeria out of where we are today, because it's very dangerous. Now, because insecurity will be there, because now a man that has not eaten his money will be looking for a way to put food on the table, whether you like it or not. So we have to be very careful of what is going on. That's why, if you are as a leader, you have to be very careful because before bringing up any policy, you have to go wide in consultation. Now, let me tell you, before I answer that question, let me tell you something. Do you know in 2022, the former governor of Central Bank, Emefiele, was in Washington D.C. in a stakeholder meeting organized by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. You know what they were asked, what he was asked to do? Nigeria was advised to float their naira. You know what he said? When he spoke, I said, this is an economist. He understands the dynamics of Nigeria economy. He said, IMF and International World Bank, Nigeria appreciate your effort in always coming around where we're having economic challenges. We appreciate you. But on this one, Nigeria cannot float the naira at this peculiar time because our problem is peculiar. We can't do that now because he did it in 2016. You know what happened? That even some stakeholders will now say, come on, let's change again. Let's change the policy so that many things we can stabilize the economy. That's why he became very stiff when it comes to changing the policy. And even before he left office, we are still pegging our naira against what? The dollar.
Now, Bishop, it's very difficult now because can a nation like Nigeria, can we, peg naira against the dollar? Knowing that we are not producing.
No, let me tell that. No, it's one of the issues. I've not answered your question. That first question you asked me when we were talking about it. Let me answer this one quickly. You see, Emefiele was trying to bring some people were not listening to him because many people when are discussing this, they discuss this with what they hear in the beer parlor. So many people don't read some books. They don't really listen. So when somebody is talking, they don't know where the argot is coming from. At a time, Emefiele said that the federal government said we should not be using dollars in Nigeria. The country has so dollarized as if Nigeria is an extension of the United States of America. That even some Nigerians, they display their show of wealth in parties, spraying dollars. To tell you that I have arrived, I have the money. What happened to our naira? So we don't promote our local currency. But we prefer to use the dollars in Nigeria. And that is not our legal tender. That is an offense. It is criminal. But the Nigerian government have allowed it over the years. And I can tell you that is why today you see that the pressure on dollar is getting very high. Because as long as we are still the pressure on dollar begin to high, the value of the dollar become we keep becoming very, very stronger. Yeah. Now we have children, we have schools here in Nigeria, we have a lot of universities here, public, private, polytechnics, colleges of education in Nigeria. We sound lecturers. But what is happening today, our people still prefer to take their words outside this country to continue their higher education, especially our elites. They know, they will tell you that the school here in Nigeria have nothing to offer their children. So we prefer to take them outside the country. They're those who have the responsibility to ensure that our educational system are being funded to compete with international institutions. They are even the one promoting the idea of taking their children outside this country. If you want to pay your children's school fees, you will not pay the school fees in naira. You need to convert your naira to dollars to pay your school fees. You see the pressure? Now, some of them want to go for holiday. We have Calabar. We have a lot of tourist centers in Nigeria they have refused to develop. So they feel that when they live here is better for them. They need more dollars. They have to change the naira to dollars more. So the pledge of dollar is too much. Some people here in Nigeria they don't want to be carrying naira about. They want to convert their naira to dollars. They'll go to New Benin, go to Selu Market, go to Rig Road. They'll give their naira to all those they are booking. They change it to dollars, put it in their pocket. Wherever they go to club, they spend dollars. Are we in America? We're in Nigeria.
Yeah, Bishop, now to the question now.
The question now is very clear. Yeah. What we do is that the government have a lot to do here. Ordinarily, we have said they should supply what I call the side policy to see how we can control the cost push inflation.
What is that? The side policy?
The side policy you are talking about has to do with tax cuts.
Okay.
Tax cut. Like now, if you discover that what is happening right now, your transportation can no longer take you to your work. And when they want to give you your salary, they deduct all deductible, the taxes. Government has to give tax cut. You say they will not pay such. They will pay such though, because it's one of the side policies we are talking about.
The taxes have to be reduced.
Yes,
that's what you're trying to say. Okay.
You have to reduce it, but no, it cannot be because that is where they get revenue to run the system. We have to cut it. We have the tax cuts, okay, of which Mr. President was trying to implement the other time. I saw that policy too. That is one. Let me tell you something. Government had to support some organization with what I call the wage subsidies, so that now that everything has increased, don't be surprised that those workers today have a very formidable, a very strong union that will pressurize management. Please increase our salary. Our money can no longer take us home. The commercial fare has increased, so we need a commensurable increase in our pay. So the government has to come there. They have to subsidize so that the system can keep running. The workforce can remain in their job. The companies can remain. The entities can remain operating in their various organizations. Now you say they will not pay subsidy. They will pay because right now, you cannot remove fuel subsidies, and our refineries are not working. So if you're not ready to put our refinery to make them functional, what do? Government have to go back to subsidy again. Subsidize the fuel. See the system, the naira has been floated. What you have to do is that ensure that the goods that are coming are subsidized, so that the common man can afford those things, so that the price of goods and services can reduce. It will not come down when the price of PMS keep increasing. Any day the price of PMS increase, transportation costs will increase. Cost of goods and services will increase. And the suffering and pain of Nigeria will double. Okay.
All right. So perhaps some people will say that for a new government, it is expected. I mean, for a government that is still trying to experiment on the situation in the country and they are still trying to understand the situation. I mean, the ministers, they've really not started their various offices now, as it were. So some people will say that perhaps Nigerians may have to understand with this government.